What we're speaking about, what it appears I'm speaking about, isn't something. I always imagined speakers who spoke about this were speaking about some great thing, some ultimate thing, some absolute thing called oneness or consciousness or awareness or God. That's not what's being spoken about. I don't know what's being spoken about. This can't be known as a thing, as knowledge or understanding. But it includes all knowledge and understanding. There's nothing outside, nothing excluded. And it's the absence of that possibility of exclusion that makes it feel okay to call what we're speaking about love. There can be no greater love than the impossibility of exclusion. And if it's obvious that this is all there is, this unknowing, not knowing, then it can feel devastating because there's nowhere to go. There's no more to get. Everything you have already is seemingly lost. But the losing is nothing. And the non-appearance or the absence of there being anything to get, and the non-appearance and the absence of anything to lose, feels like love. When I say feels like love, that can be misleading because it's not really a feeling. Probably okayness, the okayness of everything, simply because it is as it is what I mean when I say love. And the impossibility that this could be other than it is, simply because it is as it is the peace that passes all understanding. It's such a simple peace that there's, and I mean there's peace even if there's anger, sadness, grief, it's all okay. It's really okay that it's not okay. which it was never for me. If it wasn't okay, then something was wrong. Well, not feeling okay, things not going the way that you hoped they would or you planned they would, it's perfectly okay. But this isn't perfection. It's the absence of perfection and imperfection. If this is all, then there can be neither. This is as good as it gets, whether you like it or not. Everyone knows that. Even if there's stories of it could get better. Well, thanks for turning up on a Wednesday, as I said earlier. If you, it seems quite intimate this evening. You don't ever know how many people are here, I guess, or maybe you do. But having less people, it seems a bit cozy. So don't be afraid to share anything or ask anything. As futile as questions are, feel free to ask those futile questions.
Hello?
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, who's that?
It's
Tony. Hi, Tony. Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
And you.
Big fan. I'm a big fan. I like the ordinary way you explain the ordinary.
Tony, I feel I know you, but I know I've not spoken to you before, but yeah, well, we know each other on Facebook.
Yes, we do. And I love your book.
Oh, thanks, Tony.
Love your book. I have a strange question.
Go ahead.
I think they're all strange. I suffered from depression for decades.
Yeah.
And when this started happening to me, I'm no longer caught in that depression.
Great.
And but I still have feelings of deep sadness. You know, there's a lot that's gone on in my life.
Yeah.
And I've learned that pushing that sadness away causes its own pain.
Yeah.
My question is about the sadness itself. I mean, is that feeling painful? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm asking?
I do know.
Just the feeling of sadness itself without any
Yeah.
description or memory or anything like that.
Yeah.
What is that?
Oh. Well, the first thing I'd say is it's completely natural.
Yeah.
I'm really, what self does is says sadness, it means something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And something's wrong, not so I'm doing something wrong, or even worse, there's something wrong with me because I'm feeling sad. Which I think is one of the worst aspects of being me. Of being me is that I really judge feelings according to whether I feel they're helpful or whether they're right or wrong.
Mm.
And sadness is one that self-invariably, I think mainly through conditioning, we're conditioned at a very early age to, you know, to not be sad. Our parents, we learn very early as children that our parents don't like it when we're sad. Our parents are sad when we're sad, and we don't want our parents to be sad. And our parents say, oh, I just want you to be happy. And so we make happiness the only right way to be, where there is no right way to be, Tony. It's just, there is only the way this is. And in respect of how we relate to what's happening emotionally, then we call that ourselves, what's happening to me. Whether there's a sense of it is mine or not, the feelings are just the same. Because what this message has nothing to say about getting rid of certain emotions and having more of other emotions. It has nothing to say about that at all.
I know.
What is always wanting to be said is that everything is okay until you make it not. So in answer to your question, is suffering, sadness, suffering, is it painful? Yes, but that's not wrong. And there's a massive difference between feeling sadness just naturally, because life is loss. I mean, it's the most natural thing for human beings to feel the sadness of loss. And I mean, really, this message is only about loss. It's the loss of everything.
Well, I'm learning that.
Everything is always being lost. The illusion is that I have things for a certain length of time. And of course, the greatest illusion is I have my life. I have life for a certain length of time. I've had it this long, I've got it now, and I will have it in the future. In the seeming losing of that sense of ownership of life, there was immense grief. And it was terribly painful because I didn't want to die. I said I was alive, and so of course I didn't want to not be alive. Well, the whole message here is there is no one to die. You know, you're already not in possession of what you call your life. It's just life happening. And there is no difference between what you called your life and just life happening. So sadness appears in just the same way. However, there is a massive difference between just sadness, natural emotion, and my sadness, which is an indication of something is wrong, it shouldn't be like this. It's hugely different, immensely. But the sadness isn't. In a way, I could say the sadness is more intense, more direct, more unfiltered. But there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. And the other obvious thing is that sadness is love. When I'm talking about love, I'm mainly speaking about sadness. I know that sounds bizarre, but I really am.
So does sadness feel good to you?
Yeah.
Okay. See, that's what I'm trying to figure out, because
Good's
it's getting more comfortable. It's
good's
getting
not
better.
good's not the right word. Good
Well,
good
okay.
isn't right, because as opposed, but I would say it feels like, I mean, the only way I could describe it really, what does sadness feel like? It feels sad,
It feels like discomfort to
but
me.
it doesn't feel like discomfort. No,
Okay.
it feels like love, because it's very obvious that that's what the sadness is. The sadness is the loss of something, someone, some experience, some relationship.
Mhm.
Always.
So it's still just the me translating it into this problem.
It's me that makes,
That causes the pain.
without a doubt, it's me that makes sadness wrong.
Okay.
That's really it.
Mhm.
So I probably shouldn't say that it feels good. No, it doesn't feel good. It feels how it feels. That's it, isn't it? And that is how it always is. So how does life feel? Life feels how it feels. And that's forever changing. What is unchanging, we can't speak about. It's nothing. We can only speak about the changing. And one of the things that changes is feeling, is emotion. But it can be obvious that all emotion it's different flavors of the same substance, you could say. It's, you know, so
that becomes obvious.
So you can like, my favorite ice cream would be strawberry. But if you give me chocolate ice cream, I don't say that's wrong. So, yeah, I wouldn't say sadness feels good, but it is, what it is there's no one rejecting it anymore. I don't say no to it. So sadness appears, and before I would do anything to escape from it, to turn away from it, to hide from it or run from it. So all kinds of distracting activities, all kinds of intellectual stories I could tell. I probably think I have to call my therapist again. I need some more work. I thought I'd finished the work, but there's more work to do. What we're speaking of is the end of the work. There's no one to work on. That's what makes this worth speaking about. That's why I speak about it. I'm not speaking about anything different, but that the one who needs working on isn't real. That is worth speaking about. There is no one working on anyone. And you may have found, I'm sure all of you have done quite a bit of work on yourselves. I spent a lot of time and effort and money on myself, my big self-improvement program. And it was all to make this imaginary one complete, to make me right, to make me whole. I was my own project. And so the end of that project can feel unbearably empty. What the hell am I going to do now? All I've done all my life is work on myself, and then what's left? Well, there's always this. This is what's left. but there's no more project. There's no self to improve or actualize or realize or any other bullshit story that you've read about and you've hoped for. And there's just immense, I will say immense, but such an ordinary peace in the end of that self-improvement program. You've no interest in improving anyone else either. And wow, does that make life more harmonious? Because of course, whilst working on myself, I was well aware of the inadequacy, the incompleteness and the inadequacies of all the other selves, and felt sure, having done such a good job with myself, that I could help them too. And I was pretty quick to tell them how they could help themselves. Which, you know, although it may be done with the best intentions, is always creating conflict. It can't not. So we're talking about no conflict with self. And with no conflict with self, there's no conflict with others. That doesn't mean that they that they don't feel conflict. That can happen, of course, but that's okay as well. I don't want to get too hippies and Beatles about it, but let it be is pretty good. And that's really what we're speaking about. It's just a natural letting be what is. With really, I mean, even if there is energy to change things, you know, you're going to decorate the front room. There's energy to paint the front room. It doesn't matter whether you paint the front room or not. Even if there is painting the front room, as an, you know, it's not that there can't be action to seemingly improve, but it's very obvious change is not improvement. Just seeming change. This is always seemingly changing. Not for the better or worse. That's just an opinion. And just because your opinion is different from someone else's doesn't make them right and you wrong, or vice versa. It's just opinion. So this is liberation for opinion as well, and belief, and character, and likes and dislikes, preferences. The impossibility of anyone being right is simply wonderful. If no one is right, it's the impossibility of anyone being wrong, regardless of agreement or disagreement. That was a long answer. Sorry, Tony.
Oh, no problem. I loved every minute of it, actually.
But
I'm really growing into that sadness. It's getting sweeter.
Yeah, you could call it. I think even last week we talked about sweet sadness. I'm pretty sure we did, actually. But whether it's sweet or sour, it doesn't mean it. I'm not saying that it's not painful.
What causes the discomfort? I guess that's my real question. Is why is this energy uncomfortable?
Yeah, well, I would say
like smashing your finger, the same thing?
Well, it hurts, doesn't it?
It can.
But I don't think necessarily sadness has to be painful. No, it's saying it shouldn't be this way. That's the pain usually. The suffering is mainly
The resistance.
This shouldn't be like this shouldn't be happening.
Right. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tony. And really, this shouldn't be happening to me. Is the pure arrogance of self that, well, you know, I've been good, I don't deserve this. Well, this is the thing about about life is there's no deserving or undeserving. This isn't deserved. Or not. Just is.
Jacob has his hand up.
Hi, Jacob.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes, hi, Jacob.
Hi, Tim. First of all, there is a lot of gratitude here for the way you communicate and also your book. I'm working my way through that and I love it.
Oh, thanks, Jacob.
Yeah, I think I've heard enough of your talks now that it's actually your voice that is reading the book as my eyes are going, so that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But if I can make one comment, I think I don't really have any questions, but maybe you could comment on this. One of the aspects that brings me the most peace or kind of a smile to my face is the idea of equanimity.
Yeah.
And how that, I don't know if you would say that it is unconditional love, or if it kind of leads there, or how those two kind of relate to each other. But every time I think about, well, I could be in a good mood or a bad mood, or there could be a motivation to, you know, go clean something or just be lazy, but really none of it is any better or worse than anything else. And I can't really make a wrong choice. And the more you kind of, I guess, live in that space,
Yeah.
the more content you kind of feel with it. And I don't know, it's just brought me a lot of comfort, I guess.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. I don't think they're not two different things at all. In fact, you know, all the words that we're using, that I use or anyone else uses to describe this, they're all describing the same. So equanimity is a lovely word. I like that everything is there's, because things are essentially nothing, things are empty, then of course there is absolute. So the quality is absolute, even if, you know, one is preferable. So the thing that you'd prefer to do rather than the thing you don't want to do, there really is, one is not better than the other. And that is love, or it can feel that way. And that is peace. That is rest. So yeah, there isn't, I will emphasize, I have no sense that there is one thing before another, you know, that one leads to another. If there is a, I don't know what word to use, if there's a seeing, a recognition, a resonance of, if it's obvious, then it's obvious. Whatever words come to mind, or what thoughts bring to mind that to label and try and describe, they're always inadequate. But there isn't a depth to this. This doesn't have a depth. There isn't a deepening. And I was always thinking there was a deepening. I was always thinking, oh, I could go further and further. And that's the illusion of self, who thinks that one thing leads to another. There aren't actually any things leading to other things. So the whole notion of, could equanimity come before love or before peace? No, they're just empty words attempting to describe the indescribable.
for me, I guess it kind of reinforces things not really mattering, which I know for some sucks, but everybody kind of has their own interpretation of it. But just as an example, last week I had knee surgery and I was sitting back there, IV in my arm about to go under, and I'm just kind of looking around the room by myself, thinking to myself, whether I was here or whether I was home, or whether this goes great or terribly, it really doesn't matter.
No.
And there's one part of my brain that still thinks, of course it matters. And then the other part that always makes me smile is just like, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it doesn't. So
that's lovely. Yeah, because the thought can come and you can just smile at the thought that, what do you mean it doesn't matter? The thought comes, it doesn't matter. And then another thought goes, what do you mean it doesn't matter? Of course it must matter. Right. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And the thing that might really bring a smile is when the thought, it really does matter, then that doesn't matter. And then you can smile.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that I think it matters. So what?
Thanks, Tim.
Oh, no, thanks, Jacob.
Marla has a hand up.
Hi, Marla.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hi.
Hi.
Long time no speak, Tim. Thanks.
Hi, nice to see you.
Oh,
Well, I can't see you. I can see your silhouette.
yeah, I know, it's terrible, isn't it? Perhaps I ought to. Is that better?
Not really.
I just I just want to add to what Jacob said. There is this thing that happens, this I don't care zone. You kind of zone into this I don't care, which is something senses, nothing really matters. And then there's that other energy conflicts it, but it's becoming quite apparent. This energy is quite disturbing, so you can recognize, well, I don't know who recognizes what, to be honest.
There's no knowing that, Marla.
Yeah. And when you go into this I don't know, and then months later you realize, oh, I've noticed I don't care about much things anymore. Ambitions have gone. Like certain days I have to say, well, what am I going to do now? You don't notice it till, and this loss is just regurgitating non-stop, isn't it? It's just, I don't know what is going on, but this glimpses of I don't know is very weird, Tim, because nothing is controlling this thing anymore. It's automatic, isn't it? At the same time, and then the me panics and jumps straight in and say, who's taking care of this?
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it.
No, you've expressed that really well. I think that'll be familiar to everyone here. I'd be surprised if it's not.
And Jacob is right about your book as well. When we read your book, your voice literally jumps out of the book. It's so funny.
Well, I feel I should apologize about that, but
no, I mean it's weird. Your personality comes through with the words on the book. So thanks for that, Tim. I don't know what I had.
Thanks, Marla. Well, but that's really good what you've said, because while there is a sense of me coming back, or that energy of wanting to be back in control, because if there is a real open emptiness which really doesn't care, it's not caring. It's not that I don't care. The absence of caring is the absence of I don't really mind what happens. It's just everything just, it's okay. Everything happening as it's happening is okay. Now, to me, if the energy goes, well, that's not, that you can't be like that. That's, who's looking after this shit show? Who's running the show? You know, who's...
And it comes back with a ferocity and the panic and the pain of months of this so-called letting go. And then all of a sudden, one day, you just say, flip, I don't really care anymore. Good, whatever, you know. I don't really know what I'm talking about, Tim. So,
Oh no, I just well,
you know, because there's this.
it might not sound like you. It might sound to you as though you don't know, but it sounds very familiar here. And really, all I'm speaking about is that sense of coming back and trying to wrestle back control from that, what me would call apathy, what me would call uncaring, what me would call without motivation, which terrifies self, all of that.
Thank you very much, Tim. Thank you for organizing this.
You're welcome. But there is nothing to fear in you. You already have no control.
Yeah.
That's the good news. The good news is that you don't lose control. It might just be obvious that you never had any. There was no one ever running this show. And you could say, like you said, Marlo, it's automatic, but even that might be lost. It's not, you know, that's saying too much. Automatic sounds like, well, somebody made the machine in order for it to work automatically. It might be obvious that not even that, you don't even get that to rest on.
Oh, you mean that will disappear as well? It's a very weird feeling.
Well, it could do.
I suppose because you've had that control mechanism, this monster controlling you, and then suddenly there's this space that you've got to get used to, and I don't know, Tim.
Yeah, and if it's any consolation, it does. Nearly everyone who speaks a bit about this, if they're honest, talks about it does take some getting used to, seemingly.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Tim.
Thanks, Marlo. And the getting used to is going from life being completely full and real to being completely empty and unreal, as well as being full and real. So it's not that the realness disappears, because, you know, I don't speak about this as illusion or dream. That's not how it feels here. This is the absolute reality. Of course it is. There isn't anything else. So the whole notion of dream and illusion of this happening just feels like, so if I see through the dream or past the dream, then I'll get to reality. It's just another charade that self can play, that this isn't it. It can't be. This, sitting in the kitchen, looking at my laptop, drinking lukewarm coffee, this is it. This is the absolute. Yeah.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks. Thanks, Marla.
Katrina, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm new to this. I had to work out how to unmute myself.
Hi, Katrina.
Hi. Right, I have a question.
Yeah.
So there's no me, but
No.
when I look in the mirror,
Yeah.
I see me. How does that work?
Well, you don't see me, do you?
Well, sometimes I go, hey, how are you going?
Yeah, well, you can do that. Well, what you see, I mean, just really, obviously what you see is a human being. You see a face.
But I identify it as me.
And you recognize it, and you've spent however many years calling that face, me. That's
Mm.
all.
So what do you see when you look in the mirror?
Who is that old bastard? That do you know, I often see my dad. You get to a certain age and then you look in the mirror and it's your parent, not you, looking back at you. That happens quite a bit. It's interesting. There is a real sense of, because I don't really have any sense of self-consciousness anymore, self-awareness. When I see myself, I was incredibly vain. Some would still say that hasn't gone anywhere, but to myself, it's immeasurably different. I'm not that interested in how I appear to others, because most of the energy of how I appeared was so that I look good. Because what self does, this is a clever trick. I don't know how it works, but the clever trick of self is self can take itself out of the body and observe itself from outside as if it was another. Because of course, what would self-awareness be if not taking itself out of itself to then look at itself? I mean, you just think, and that's what we call normal, by the way. That's normal psychology. This sense that there is a self who can see itself, who can be aware of itself. Well, that's two selves to start with, isn't it? So there's really, the whole notion of self is duality, because it's, I know myself. Well, who is it that knows itself? Well, it's got to separate itself from itself in order to know itself. That's the whole, that's really, if I was hypothesizing, I don't know any of this, I would say that is what dies. So that whole sense of, and that ability goes as well. So that just doesn't happen anymore.
I'm waiting for that to stop happening.
So I can't, if I look in the mirror, I don't see me. I
feel like when I'm walking around that I can sense my body following me. And it's like, right. Then I've got two.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, that doesn't make sense.
It's what, but that is, I mean, Katrina, that's what nearly everyone calls normal. And what I speak about as would be dissociation disorder or something similar. You know, that I don't know myself. I can't see myself.
I say those words, but I don't necessarily, they're just words.
Well, to be honest, I say that, they don't mean anything, because there is nothing to, it's just that it can just seem to happen that there isn't anything to see. What I called myself was always empty. There was never anything to see. There was never any one who could then become two to see itself. It was just all an elaborate, I'm guessing, trick of the brain. But again, I don't know. I've no idea how it works.
Trick of the brain works for me.
Yeah, that would be my being a.
Cool. Thank you.
But the whole notion, I mean, it can be this obvious. The whole idea that you look in the mirror and you can see yourself. I mean, how ridiculous. You're seeing the reflection of a human being in a mirror. That's fucking obvious. You, however, me, the inside self that can be seen in a mirror, I mean, how nonsensical. But this is what we call sane. And most people would say what I'm speaking about is insane. Whereas, I mean, that's just pure nonsense, isn't it? You've never seen yourself and you've never seen another self. It's obvious. You've seen human beings. And because you've inferred your own self, you infer other selves. And we collude together as selves to, and it is a collusion. And it's virtually never spoken of. That you confirm me, I confirm you, and ourselves feel a little bit more content and less scared. Because of course, while I am a tiny self inside this body who has a life that it needs to control, needs to manage, surprise, surprise, life is full of fear, anxiety, neuroses, dread, hope, dreams, guilt, shame, all of which are designed to reinforce this sense of my ability to control this completely anarchic, wild, unknowable life.
Alice has a hand up.
Hi, Alice.
Hi, Tim. I just wanted to say a similar thing, really. Like now, when I look in the mirror, there's not. I used to have all these other thoughts, like, oh, that I wasn't attractive, or that could be better, or and it's such an easy shift to see, as it were, when none of that happens anymore, or it just happens very, very maybe even just like a memory of something.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, you just like things just become like, even like maybe your reflection might become interesting or something, but apart from that, there's just no judgment.
No,
it's such a relief. It's such a relief.
it really is massive. I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably the biggest relief of all.
Yeah.
The relief from self-consciousness is probably the biggest relief of all. And really that means, no, I can't see myself anymore. That's what it means. And in that, it was obvious I never saw myself. And I can tell a story of when I seemed to believe and feel that I could.
Because when that shift was occurring, I used to think, I thought maybe I wasn't seeing properly anymore. Literally, because I couldn't quite fathom out the difference. And of course I was seeing fine. It's just like,
yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Alice. But I'm not speaking of going from seeing myself to not seeing myself, or being self-conscious and self-aware to not being self-aware and not self-conscious. It's because it's seen that all of that story of my past when I was, and I mean, this is the most radical part of this message of all, really. None of that happened. Nothing ever happened. Nothing has ever happened. But if that doesn't make you laugh, I don't know what will. But that is the total annihilation of all achievement and all failure and all mediocrity, however you've labeled your past. You know, I've just been waiting, and you know, for every dog has his day, and I'll be successful one day. It's the complete annihilation of any of that, all of those stories ever coming true. Nothing ever comes true. There are no dreams to come true. Whatever fantasies you've got about, you know, shift or change or falling away, or none of that happened. This is happening. And this happening is nothing happening.
David has his hand up.
Hi, David.
Hello, Tim. Hello.
Hello.
I think we're speaking with one voice. I'm amazed at how beautifully, orderly, and marvelously life and everything else that's happening happens when it's nobody making it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hands off. It's like riding the bicycle with no hands on the handlebar all the time.
And who doesn't love doing that? God, I so loved riding a bike with no hands, because you know, it was everything that I'd been told that I shouldn't do. You know, what a wonderful freedom that is. No hands. As soon as you're out of sight of mother, then you can let your hands off the handlebars and away you go. Yeah. So there's no one. I mean, the illusion is the one who's steering. Yeah.
Right. Nobody's steering. Gosh, good to be with you all today.
Ah, thanks, David. You too. I mean, that can be misleading. That can sound a bit misleading. It sounds as though I've taken my hands off the handlebars. I haven't done that. There aren't any handlebars. There's no bike. There's no road to ride on. No, it can sound, oh yeah, wouldn't it? So that's just something else for me to work on. I can work on, you know, I've been gripping the handlebars for dear life, you know, controlling. And maybe if I loosen my grip a bit, then life will be, but that's not how it is.
Yeah.
There can be no handlebars to hold on to.
Yep. For sure.
Thanks, David.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim.
If you get bored between Christmas and New Year, which no doubt you will, who doesn't? I'm planning to do a meeting on next Thursday, 28th, as normal. I was planning to go to London, and I did have a friend look at availability, but Boris has been talking about who knows what. So I'm not going to book somewhere, I don't think, until we get through New Year. It looks like there'll be a few more restrictions in the UK coming after Christmas, almost something. So really the only reason that I wouldn't book it is I wouldn't want to do a meeting where everyone had to wear masks. I'd probably rather do this than that. So I'm planning to do a live meeting in London. And the other thing, shortly there'll be info out about weekend that I'm going to do an online weekend. Hopefully, what is it, Darren? 6th of February. Is that right?
It's the 5th and 6th of February.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So I'll hopefully get some information about that out shortly. Well, have a lovely Christmas. Drink too much or not. Eat too much or not. I'm probably going to do both. Yeah, have a lovely holiday.
You too, Tim. Happy holidays. Thank
Happy
you.
holidays.
Thanks, Tim.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
Happy
Bye-bye.
holiday, everyone.
Happy holiday.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Aaron.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Bye,
Merry
everybody.
Christmas.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Nice
Bye.
to see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.